And there we are. Okay, so Sean Fraser, we've managed to get this onto YouTube, so thank you for joining me again.
Yeah, good afternoon, Neil. Sunday afternoon. I think I've got a very exhausted cat in the background. He's listening to she's listening to the YouTube as well.
Here we are. Okay, so cool. Okay, so for those who don't know, my name is Neil Jenkins from Gun News Australia, which is run by Politics Related. You're Sean Fraser, who often appears with us on our podcast. The Gun News Australia podcast is about 120 videos up there. So if you want to binge watch for political news for shooters, then it's there for you. So Sean, thanks for joining. We're also talking about the announcement by the Prime Minister to do a couple of things. One was to, first of all, roll up the anti-Semitism laws with gun laws, and then, of course, the more recent one where he's now going to split them out.
Yeah, well, it takes the false premise that this was never about banning guns completely out of it, because now the next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, is simply in Parliament. It's simply going to be about gun laws and introducing federal gun restrictions.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with anti-Semitism, nothing to do with the Bondi attack at all.
No. So look, just before I do, there's a couple of things I just want to mention. First of all is this morning I was hit with the Facebook restriction on recommending our site, as so many others have received recently. So that was this morning. By this afternoon, that was lifted. So I guess Shooters Union and Aussie Reviews, I'm sort of joining your ranks there of the targeted people by Facebook.
Yeah. And I don't think hasn't been an a worldwide thing, because I believe this is only the antis have got together and mass reported all the shooting pages in Australia. The reason being is because it hasn't happened. There's no posts on any of the shooting forums or any of the gun related pages in the United States. This is happening. It's only in Australia.
Yeah.
So it must have been a coordinated attack, a mass reporting attack by the the gun control groups in Australia, mass reporting the shooting pages.
What we're seeing, and we're going to touch on this a bit later on, is there's been a definite ramping up of their resourcing and what they're doing. They're also getting professional advice in terms of running their show. And that's sort of the fight that we're up against in the next 2 years. The second, I guess, pre-discussion thing I want to mention is I think it's this Thursday or Friday. Thursday is the anniversary when Kate when Kate started her fundraiser. So when she bailed out of the gun rally and then decided to do her bit and then head off to the United States later, and that was 9 months ago. So anyway, that was just a bit of a historical note. Now, with the gun laws that we're going to be talking about this evening, I've got 10 main topics which I'm going to go through. Before I do that, you were mentioning just prior to us going live that people were questioning about when they have to hand their guns in and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Neil. There's a lot of, unfortunately, the media talk about gun laws as in Australia-wide, state-based. There's no difference. The only state that is currently enacted new gun laws is New South Wales, which passed both the upper houses and the lower houses on the 24th of December. No other state has so far enacted any new gun laws for many years. However, we now have the situation where the federal government on Monday and Tuesday will be voting on and most likely passing federal gun laws to do with customs and various parts, which Neil go through. So a lot of shooters aren't aware that there is an actual difference. The federal government controls importation and custom regulations,
which we'll get onto shortly. But the point is that there's no requirement to hand guns in.
No.
The New South Wales legislation hasn't actually commenced. It's not actually enforced. So you'll get advice from the registry when that happens, and I'm sure that'll be supported by the major shoot, as in it'll be echoed by the major shooting organisations at the time. So do not panic. Don't hand your guns in.
Yeah.
Just wait and see. Get involved in the political game, and we're going to talk about that a bit later. Now, the first major item I wanted to talk about is the Prime Minister. You recall that there was a committee of Parliament that was set up to where they heard from anti-gun groups, which was Gun Control Australia, the Alana Madeline Foundation, which was historically a charity that came out of the Port Arthur thing and has now migrated and becoming just an anti-gun machine using tax-deductible donations for that. So they got an audience, and I think that that caused quite a few people to scratch their heads as to why were the anti-gun groups, people who don't hold qualifications or have any experience, why would they get an audience with the parliamentary committee before, the shooting organisations and others or industry?
Not just an audience, Neil. They were actively involved in formulating the new federal act.
All right. Again, without the experience or qualifications, which is a bit like if you hop on a plane to go to Papua New Guinea and the pilot calls in sick and they said, we've got this guy here who'll fly the plane for you. He's not qualified. He hasn't got any experience, but he's Guido.
He's played Microsoft Flight Simulator once or twice. He should be okay.
And why did the committee blindly accept their advice? It did not question it. And that's really what gets up my nose. I have a bit of a theory, and I think this is it. I'm going to show it to you now. What you're looking at here is the About Us page of the Alana Madeline Foundation. Now, the key group that got an audience at that committee. If you have a look at who the patrons are, the Prime Minister, front and centre. So Albo is the patron, the national patron of the Alana and Madeline Foundation, which happened to have a box seat at this committee. I reckon there's a conflict of interest there.
No, definitely conflict of interest.
The definition of conflict of interest, or the way that it's managed, it includes perceived conflicts of interest. So even if one didn't actually exist, there's a perception that that he did not manage, and he's obliged under the Ministerial Code of Conduct. And I'm sorry for being a bit bureaucratic here, but I'm a bureaucrat, so I'm going to do this. The Code of Conduct for Ministers federally. It has a section on conflicts of interest, which include other interest and arrangements that might be in place. He did not, in my view, follow that. Oops, sorry, I'm not even sharing, am I? Okay, so there it is. There's the document. This is the Code of Conduct for Ministers. And as I said, there's the conflicts of interest section on page 4, which I'm sure Albo can read if he wants to. But in addition to declaring the conflict of interest, is supposed to manage the conflict of interest. And this might be typically around if you've got, if a parliamentarian's got an interest in a apartment development sort of thing, he has to excuse himself from being involved because he's got a conflict of interest. In this case, Albo was front and center. He got an Madeline Foundation, of which he's a patron, a box seat, and nowhere did he talk about this. Nowhere did he mention it. He didn't mention it to the media. He didn't mention it to anybody else. It is referenced in one of his declaration of interest to Parliament. There's a document that politicians have to submit where they declare their interest, which might be commercial, it might be something else. But in this case, no, he failed that. Basically that. And as a result, we have put a formal complaint into the Independent Parliamentary Standards Commission about his failure. That body, by the way, that's called IPSC for short.
Yeah, that's ironic.
So that body holds parliamentarians to account, including their compliance with codes of conduct. And I've got 2 federal MPs who are looking at this. They only became aware of it a day or so ago, and I hope to bring more news on that front. So look, let's see if that has legs. I don't know, but I just wanted to talk about that because it stood out. Now, the second part is what you were talking about before, which is the constitutional limitations of the federal government when it comes to the control of firearms. we're all familiar with state laws, our State Firearms Act, or if you're away, you've got the Weapons Act, I think it's called.
Yeah, weapons licensing.
Bad name, but that's another thing. Um, the federal government, under the Constitution, has only a limited, or when I say only, it's got a set out list of things that it has responsibility for. And in amongst that is the control of importations and exportations at the border, the use of
So customs.
customs. It's also the jurisdiction in relation to Commonwealth property, which actually includes airports and things like that. So where you see the federal police walk around, that's federal property. And obviously the federal government can make laws there. And also in relation to what they call carriage or communication services, telephone, TV, internet, that kind of thing, because that is a national framework and it's controlled by the feds. So the federal government and state governments, they don't overlap. They might appear to, but they don't. And so the federal laws that we're talking about tonight really are in relation to what happens at the border, that is allowing guns to come in, come out, the use of the internet, which we'll get onto shortly, and also when you enter and exit the country, when you go out through to fly off to, to Afghanistan or wherever, what you can take with you. So what they're talking about here can actually also affect when you want to leave the country and come back.
Exactly.
And I want to raise that. I'm glad you actually asked it earlier on because people were actually genuinely confused about that. Third item is the other major shooting organisations, as in what they've been doing. And this is really more of a recap, I think, for the benefit of people who are asking questions again about who's doing what. The most active group, well, when the laws in New South Wales went through, Tom Kenyon from AAA was very active in pulling together updates for AAA members, which others, like myself, could see. So he was active from a reporting point of view.
Yeah, and also all AAA state organisations have been meeting apart from Queensland, which we'll get onto later, with their directorship and their MPs as well, behind the scenes.
Yep. Sorry, just looking at a comment about Kate's GoFundMe. But the most active that I believe in this space, and look, other shooting organisations have been there too, as Australian Clay Target Association and others. But the one which I really want to highlight is Shooters Union. They have taken, I think, a materially different stance now to how they want to treat politicians going forward, and it's aggressive, and I'm pleased to see it because it's, we're seeing this game being played over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well done to Shooters Union. I know they spent quite a lot of money in over the last few weeks, and they gave a webinar the other night about where they're up to. So well done to them.
Yeah, but both Shooters Union have been fantastic. AAA National has been exceptional. So it's really good to see that they're working together as a team with also the alliance of gun groups. And this is not the gun control groups. This is actually us, the alliance of our gun shooting groups. It's good to see there. We've got a comment. We're going to go through the changes to handgun imports. Neil's going to go through that.
Yep, we'll talk about that.
Crazy Dogs asked for that. We will go through that.
Okay. All right. Now, what we're going to be talking about, this is the web page on the Australian Parliament parliamentary website to deal with the bill as it currently is. This is called the Combating Anti-Semitism, Hate and Extremist Bill 2026. So everything I'm talking about here, the explanatory memorandum, the bill, that's as it has been of last week.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to be split out. It's going to be, I assume that all the gun law stuff that you see in that bill is going to simply be copy paste into something else. I mean, they're going to renumber the sections. It's a bit of work to do to draft it.
Yeah, it's going to be the only Monday and Tuesday in the federal parliament as in tomorrow and Tuesday, will be debated and pass the new gun regulations, and nothing to do with the
No.
anti-Semitism or the hate bills.
Yep. So that's the current status of the bill. The key document in this, though, is called the explanatory memorandum, and I'll explain why right now. So I'm going to if I remember this time to hit the share button. This is what they call the explanatory memorandum. It's a document that explains what the bill is about. Okay, whenever you see a bill before Parliament, you'll always see an explanatory memorandum, or XMEM. And what it does, it talks through the bill clause by clause about what it does. Now, the reason why this is important is not just that it's easier to read than the bill, but when a court is trying to interpret a provision to understand what was meant by this particular clause, it may have regard to the explanatory memorandum to help form its view in terms of what it actually means. So if there's some confusion about some piece of legislation, the XMEM becomes important because that is what Parliament's intention at the time was. Okay, and I make but the main benefit for us tonight is simply that it explains what the heck this bill is about. Because if you try to read the bill by itself, it's not going to make a lot of sense. It's going to talk about amending the customs import regulations. It's going to talk about amending there's a couple of other pieces of legislation. Much of it, or some parts of it, relate to the national buyback, setting up the detail, or the detail will be left up to the states.
Yeah, which has been the buyback in the federal act has been deliberately left very, very vague. And for those who are saying, "Oh, yes, it's going to be like 1996. We're going to have fair compensation, and the dealer is going to be evaluating guns over $2,000," or what was the last? What was 1996? Was it $2,000, Neil? I believe it was any gun over was evaluated. None of that's going to happen. It's just we don't know. But for those of you wishing for that, like in 1996, the federal bill on the gun buyback has been left deliberately vague for the states to work it out.
Left up to the cash-strapped states to work
Exactly,
out.
which means that they'll absolutely shaft people.
Which is what happened in Western Australia, for those who aren't familiar. Was a couple of hundred, I mean, that had
it was
crazy numbers.
It was for any gun over 6 years old was $499. Well, wow, I mean, you could have a 20,000 shotgun and dollar shotgun and get $499 for it. Or any gun under 6 years old was $699. Great, you just spent $2,500 on a new Tikka or a new Remington or something and get $699 for it.
I'm sorry if you can hear a lot of clicking in the background. I'm just madly darting around documents because I'm about to show you some. This is obviously not pre-recorded, so I can't just do the overlays that I normally use to. Watching YouTube, it's a carry service, or any other online resource. There are concerns. There've been people who've read the XMEM or the bill and said that, oh my God, this is going to criminalize watching YouTube or other sources about reloading of ammunition.
Do you have part 7 there? I've got part 7.
I'm going to read from the XMEM. If you've got any more accurate information,
I've only got the actual part 7 of the act.
No, okay. I'm going to read section 88 of the XMEM. Part 7 of Schedule 4 would amend the Criminal Code and Crimes Act to create new offences for using carriage service to access, provide access, possess or control material that instructs, supports or facilitate the manufacture or modification of a firearm, firearm accessory, firearm part, firearm magazine, ammunition, or an explosive or other lethal device.
Everything to do with the shooting sports, every single thing.
That the way it's phrased, that's what it says. There is later on a bit of a carve out that they've said, but it's very open to interpretation. So I'm not saying necessarily that ban is going to be necessarily how it reads, but unfortunately the way it reads, and this is the fault of the government. The government could easily have, sorry, I'll stop that. The government could easily have provided more information about what it wanted to do. It could engage with the shooting community to get the information back to people like you, me, others. Say, no, this is what we're trying to do, and this is how it's going to be controlled. But they haven't done that. So as far as I'm concerned, if that's how we're going to interpret it, that's not my fault.
Yeah.
I'm
we had a comment by Magic Man saying Northern Territory is refusing to comply. Bear in mind, reminder shooters, we are talking federal laws here. At the moment, every state is affected. Every shooter in Australia will be affected by tomorrow's bill. It's not just we're not talking about state laws yet. We're talking about the federal government tonight.
Yep. This next one. Okay, this is something we've been talking. I'm not going to actually say what the heading was because this is a bit more of a surprise, I think. But we've been talking about this one for the last couple of days, and has others. So I'm going to read it. Amendments to the prohibited import regulations will introduce a definition of ammunition equipment being an item that is designed to be worn on any part of the body for the specific purpose of allowing the wearer to readily access ammunition to increase the speed of reloading, and which can hold more than 30 rounds of ammunition. Ammunition equipment does not extend to items that carry ammunition but were not designed for that purpose, such as cargo pants. So
basically, you've an ammunition belt, which holds for, say, pistol shooting, which holds more than 3 magazines, is now a prohibited item. And also the big one, for those of you just read that, it says clothing, item and clothing designed to carry more than 30 rounds. So Neil, you want to just zoom onto this little bit of item?
Why not?
Here's a
that's what it. Hang on. I'm doing two things.
Zoom into it.
We'll go to you. Okay. Show me your prohibited import.
Yep, this is my Beretta, Olympic grade Beretta shooting vest. And as you can see, these pockets, each of these pockets are quite large. They're designed to take at least minimum one full box of shotgun target ammunition. That's 25. There's 2 pockets there, so that's 50 rounds. And I've got the same 2 pockets on the other side. So I've got a 100-round vest, Neil. I mean, when's the federal police going to come and get me today?
No, they're probably going to wait till 2032 when Brisbane holds the Olympic Games.
Do you want to bring up the Olympic vest that you just had up before?
I just popped. It was the same thing. The Beretta vest.
Yeah. So literally, they going to arrest the border people when the UK shooting team lands in Brisbane. They're going to be arrested for carrying prohibited imports.
Well, actually, the conversation is going to go more like this. Sir, you are under arrest for carrying an illegal item. What is it? Is it my shotgun? No. Is it my ammunition? No. It's your vest.
Yeah, I'm now wearing a destructive terrorist Beretta shotgun vest. I mean, it's literally in the act, people. We are not kidding.
That is.
Yeah, bring up that act again, Neil.
It was so good. You want to see it again? So
yeah, I just want to see that again. It's okay. Because people are literally not believing it.
Yes, and the links to the XMEM are in the description of this video. So we're looking at the XMEM memorandum, section 90 on page 20, and it is this. This is the one here. I'll read it again because it was so good. Amendments to the prohibited import regulations will introduce a definition of ammunition equipment being an item that is designed to be worn on any part of the body for the specific purpose of allowing the wearer to readily access ammunition to increase the speed of reloading, and which can hold more than 30 rounds of ammunition.
Yeah. So, yeah, the biggest thing that affects is because it's got to be designed now. An Olympic vest, a Beretta vest, is actually designed to hold ammunition. So they're all prohibited imports. I mean, as ridiculous as it is, that's the way that it's written.
My notes are a little bit out of order, but in addition to ammunition equipment, they're adding into what they call Schedule 6 of the import regs, where you've got sound suppressors and things like that. You've got actually the control. You've got speed loaders.
Yeah, exactly. So speed loaders, or for those you aren't aware, are normally for revolvers. Well, only for revolvers. So they're normally 6 to 8 round speed loaders or jet loaders, they're sometimes called. They're spring assisted loaders to shoot the rounds, to shoot the ammunition into the revolver cylinder and assist in reloading quickly. So and how's that affected, Neil? How is speed loaders affected?
You're going to need a permit to bring it in.
Yeah. So at
So
the
you,
moment, there's no B709, we don't believe, for
well,
speed loaders or jet loaders.
doesn't do anything, doesn't
No,
hurt you.
it's just a loader. Um, it's not a magazine as such. Like a magazine goes into a firearm, like a pistol, or in the case of a ATSIC or a plastic magazine goes into a rifle. Whereas a speed loader or a jet loader, they don't go into the firearm. They just assist in reloading.
The this next thing has come up today. I'll point out to me by Shooters Union. So again, thanks guys for your help there. And don't mean to catch you off guard a little bit, but it's saying that for category H, being handguns, there's going to be with handguns, there's going to be what they call a handgun test. Okay.
I haven't seen this category. I'll read that. We haven't. Literally haven't read this
I know,
part.
I know. This is a late edition. This test remains applicable to all articles required. The new handgun test will allow the minister administering the prohibited import regs, it's the Minister for Home Affairs, I think, to give permission for the importation of a H category article only if they are satisfied the importer meets certain requirements and that the importation complies with that test.
What test?
Now, I'll get onto that in a second, but also it says here, the purpose of the amendment is to ensure national consistency for the importation of handguns and removes certification requirements from state and territory policing.
So they're removing categories of handguns from the states. Is that how I'm reading it
Yeah,
rightly?
yeah. On
But
the argument that there's an inconsistent approach between the states. That's what they're saying. Again, I don't know what they were told by these anti-gun people, but
well,
that's
I know Victoria have a bit less regulations over using 40 cal
yep,
in 40 cal
yeah.
for IPSC and as well as police and services match, but that's not really a category of handgun. It's just
Yep.
which handguns are shooting in which matches. It's nothing to do with the federal government.
Surprises don't end there. So if we go to clause 422, if I can just remember,
Are we up to four clauses 422? You've got to be kidding.
on this issue, this is a 319-page document. It says, and I've got to hit share again, and it says inconsistencies that arise from having the importation of handguns managed at state and territory level and through police certification can be removed by introducing consistent national requirements. Handguns are primarily used by blah, blah, blah. However, due to the concealable and portable nature, handguns are a desirable commodity among criminal groups, as though criminal groups have been importing these things. Okay. These amendments provide the right to life by tightening import controls and reducing access to these firearms, which minimise potential harm. So that's the justification they're using.
Okay, so we've got there's a paid question there from Cameron. Vests made in Australia holding more than 30 rounds. That's a good question. So no, because the government controls the importation. So and customs. Vests made in Australia or ammunition belts made in Australia which hold more than 30 rounds will not be covered because they're Australian made. There currently aren't any manufacturers of pistol belts and or rifle belts and or shotgun shooting vests in Australia, but there soon will be under the new. There's going to have to be because currently you can't legally import a Beretta shotgun vest.
The just above that, there's and thank you, Gary, for your donation there. Phil Westling, you asked about where to get a copy of the paperwork I'm reading. It's in the description to this video. So if you look at the write-up, you'll see that I've got a couple of links, and that's one of them. Because I think a lot of you want to basically scour through this document and find other stuff that we haven't even picked up on. I'm going to jump now. Clicking the wrong thing, so bear with me. So there is also a provision that relates to import permits. Now I'm going to read so some items, or all items, not sure. They're talking about a public safety test through the new bill, that you can import stuff subject to a public safety test. The explanatory memorandum says it being the test is intended to capture scenarios that were not explicit grounds upon which to refuse import permit application, blah, 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 otherwise meeting the requirements. So basically what they're saying is that it's not, if something's not prohibited from being imported, the test can override that. That's what they're saying. And that is, and the basis for the test is risk of life. Endangerment to the lives of individuals is a reasonably foreseeable threat posed by the presence of firearms. And it talks about because of the advances in technology over the years, particularly in the military area, such as these in the community and such situations where this power could be enlivened. Crazy language to use, but what they're saying is that this is a risk of life thing. If they perceive there to be a risk of life, then they can use that test.
Funny enough, they're talking about advances in technology now. Now, unfortunately, the shooter had a straight pull bolt rifle. It's still a bolt action rifle, but it's a straight pull bolt. The Swiss were the first to invent that rifle for a military purpose, like in the 1890s, more than 140 years ago. So it's not, well, if you want to call new technology 140 years old, that's it. I mean, a lot of this stuff is not new technology at all. Button release shotguns, these aren't new technologies. They're just new manufacturers. They've been around forever. They're just manufacturers bring out new products. That's all it is. It's not trying to get around the National Firearms Agreement. It's just simply being manufacturers bringing out new equipment.
Yep. Now, here's another thing. This is to do with the citizenship side of things. Before I get off citizenship, was there anything else on the stuff to import that you wanted to mention?
No, that basically covers everything. Oh, so there was a question there about pockets in pants and stuff. Pants pockets aren't designed for ammunition, whereas a shooting vest, a Beretta shooting shotgun vest, it's literally designed for ammunition. So you've got the new act says designed for ammunition. So don't panic. Your 511 pants are not going to be able to be prohibited imports.
Now, I did earlier today get an email from a 72-year-old Kiwi who was concerned about the Australian citizen thing. Now, whether you can get a license going forward will depend on what state you're in and what the law there will say. Because I know currently where I'm in Victoria, you don't have to be Australian citizen. Certainly, I think New South Wales is talking about it. But what we've got,
there's a lot of friends of mine one of my best friends is a UK citizen. He's been in Australia for 6 years, and he's had a license for 6 years in Australia, a Queensland license for 6 years.
Well, he better not go overseas with his gun, because when he comes back to the border, he might get a bit of a rude shock.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's why. Because this explanatory memorandum, XMEM, as I said, it talks about applying the citizenship requirement to the ability to import things.
Okay, so even before, this is important. So what are you saying, Neil? Even before the states changed, the only state that's changed the legislation so far for to be an Australian citizen is New South Wales. So the only state regulation who's changed so far. You're saying that the federal government, it might have changed something to do with Australian citizens.
Did New South Wales actually change? I know they're talking
Yes,
about.
they did. Yeah,
they did. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the feds are jumping in the action now. They don't want to be left behind. So what they've said here, applying the Australian citizenship requirement, that is to imports, provides an additional layer of community protection to complement the fit and proper person test for firearm licenses conducted by FLAs. This measure aims to reduce the risk of further gun violence in Australia and ensure the importation of firearms is reasonable, controlled,
Okay.
for approved purpose.
All right.
Albo said that.
All right. So that's in 414.
Correct.
So, and without an exemption, as far as I'm reading this right, Australia holds a lot of international competitions. We hold especially a lot of pistol IPSC competitions. We hold very many shotgun competitions, national, international competitions. Or, for instance, what do they get? You're basically reading that, Neil. Every single team member who comes to Australia for the Olympic Games in 2032 is going to be arrested at the border.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that
They're not
there
Australian
would be-
citizens.
No, there isn't. You read that. And this is what I said, that this is about messaging and what the government's got so wrong with this. Because what you've just asked there is a fair question. You would think that no, they're not that stupid. They're not going to, it's going to have an exemption for temporary, use or whatever. But I haven't seen it. So at a minimum, what they're doing, they're making life harder for people who live here and want to continue shooting here. They're not going to be able to bring anything
That's
in.
understandable. But how I read that is you can't import a firearm into the country if you land in the country and you're carrying a firearm and you're not an Australian citizen. Are you saying that you're prohibited to entry? That's how I read that.
In isolation, that's how it reads. That's what it says.
That's it. So if you come now, Victoria has many very shooters who come hunting.
Because don't forget, it reduces violence.
Oh yeah, exactly. Victoria is a very big hunting state, especially for sandbar. Many thousands of people come from all over the world to hunt sandbar in Victoria. So can we bring that part up again? I just want to make sure we read that right.
Okay. Share. Actually, I've gone a bit off it. Sorry.
That's all right. I think it was 441. I think it was. No, you've gone backwards.
No, wait a minute.
It was 441.
No, you're going to have to just scrolling through now. 440. No, it's not 441. But okay, here it is. 414.
414. Sorry, was close.
1 page away. So that's
the possession of the use of a firearm is a privilege conditional to overriding need. Applying the Australian citizen requirement provides an additional layer of community protection to implement the fit and proper purposes for a license. So, okay, how I read that is you can't enter Australia with a firearm if you're not an Australian citizen.
Which could also mean if you're returning to Australia. So you go overseas for a competition.
Yeah, if you're a non-citizen, like for instance, you're a UK citizen, but you live in Australia and you go to an internationally recognised event, say a shotgun event, and you try to get back, what, are you going to be arrested? This is nuts. I'm sorry, this is nuts.
Blaming. Okay, so I think in terms of what's in there, that's all I've got to say for now. I mean, there's probably a lot of other stuff in there. My last topic is about what shooters can do. So there's nothing else that you wanted to cover here?
I just want to make it clear that there is a lot of misconception that because states like Queensland and Victoria or Tasmania or Northern Territory haven't enacted state laws or changed any state laws, oh no, this doesn't apply to us. I'm sorry, but these are federal regulations. They apply to everyone, every person in Australia. So we're all affected by these. So this is going to go through Monday and Tuesday of next week. And what Neil and I have been reading out applies to all of us. And the most bizarre thing in Schedule 7, as we've read out, even if you have on your computer a reloading manual or any shooting manual or any, you look up reloading data, which is classed to manufacture ammunition, you are breaking the act. I mean, as the act reads, you are literally breaking the act.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the final message is that this is going to be a message that's going to be repeated time and time again, because we've got a couple of state elections coming up this year as well. You've got to get onto your local member of parliament, state or federal, depending on what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about this, you get onto your federal MP. If you want to talk about the upcoming elections, and you tell them that this is a vote loser. This is not good enough. We need to be more active on this area, because we're seeing these things happen time and time again. And the way you do that, you look it up online, get a mate to help you if need be. Don't cop the party line answer you might get. Don't cop the we're not affecting law-abiding shooters. Yes, you are.
Yeah, this affects law-abiding shooters heaps. Well, we by definition even can't look up how to strip and assemble our own firearm that we bought. It literally is breaking the law.
And the easier way to get that information is to hop on our email list, and the link to that is also in the description to this video. And I will be sending out perhaps when it comes closer to elections, instructions on how to do that and what to say. And this is important stuff. I don't think this is.
This is the biggest change. This is the biggest change since 1996 by far.
Yeah. My last message is, if you like tonight's live stream, I plan to do more during this year. And it would be great if you could. So let us know if you liked it. And you can also support our work from just $3 a month on Patreon. And a link to that is also in the description of this video.
So will you include the link to the whole act at the end of this live stream?
I've got certainly the explanatory memorandum. I might have the bill there. If not, it'll be put on straight away. So just check the description for those links. It's all there for you.
Okay. Well, it'd be better to be talking on more happier occasions, Neil. But this is beyond. This is crap. If you're a shooter, this is beyond crap.
I think
Like
so.
this is insane. This is the most insane that they literally. Oh, by the way, the banned stuff that doesn't exist in New South Wales, like the belt-fed shotgun. Yeah, this is ridiculous.
It's not good. It's not a good look for Labor. And unfortunately, the Libs, as you know, in New South Wales also voted with the government.
Yeah, so this has been live streamed tonight, Sunday night. We don't know tomorrow what the federal Liberal Party will do, whether they'll support the new gun laws, because tomorrow is only going to be voting on the gun laws. The anti-Semitism and hate speech laws has been dropped. They're not voting on that tomorrow. It's only about the gun laws. So we'll see what the Liberal Party do. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Okay, sure, Fraser. Thank you again for your time. And look, we will see you.